Welcome back to the Postpartum Prep Podcast. My name is Carradine, I'm your podcast host, and today I am here with Antonio from at Wawa Lifter on Instagram. Antonio, would you give us a little intro into who you are?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me here. I'm Antonio. I'm a baby-wearing educator from Peru who advocates for active parenting and traditional practices in baby wearing.
Thank you so much for being here today. We just recorded a whole full episode all about baby wearing and also about traditional baby wearing practices in Peru. So if you are interested in that, you can head on over to that episode or don't head on over there yet. Add it to your queue so you can listen to it next after this one. For this episode, we're going to be talking about how to organize postpartum chores and cleaning for new dads. Um, and I I wanted to include a few quotes that actually Antonio had. I have everyone who comes on the podcast, they give me like a little description of kind of what we're planning on talking about in the episode. And I just loved this quote. Antonio, I might be springing this on you, so I hope you don't mind if I share it. Um, he said, I want to promote the idea that fathers are not observers but active participants in the postpartum stage, and it is our duty to take care of the mom baby dyad. We should reshape the concept of provider and fatherhood, which cannot be separated from being nurturing and caring. And I just loved that. So I wanted to share that. Um, but Antonio, you're going to answer a few questions for us today about this. So, the first question we had is from an expecting mom. She says, I want to talk about organizing postpartum chores and cleaning with my husband, but he doesn't understand why it matters. What would you say to him?
Well, having chores, routines, and spaces organized and systematized and dedicated to those specific tasks um, are going to allow him to consume less energy than necessary. There are a lot of unexpected things. So you want to take care of them beforehand so that when the time comes, you can only handle one or two or three tasks tops at a time. You can be more efficient if you are organized. For example, if I wash the dishes in the evening with my baby on my back while my wife takes a shower. So it's a win-win. I wash the dishes, my wife has some time for herself, and we are organized. We can control any unexpected situations. For example, if my dogs drop something, I can clean it up. She can still take her shower and clean it up because baby is already on my back because that's part of our routine. If that routine were different and we were just improvising, so dirty wife, not washed at all for I don't know how many days. Um, Dishes are dirty, messy. Probably there's a accident if my dog has dropped something that it's dangerous, and I will have to gather my baby, carry my baby, and try to improvise whatever carry I'm able to. So yeah, it's very important to be organized before because there are so many things we don't know, and we don't even know what we don't know. I don't know if that makes sense.
Exactly. That's what I always try and emphasize here on the podcast. I think I mean I just before I had my baby, I literally had I it was like after I had my baby, I just kept thinking like why did nobody tell me about this? Like just about how intense it can be, I guess, after giving birth. And
Um,
because I thought, well, if I had known more realistically what to expect, I would have been able to be better prepared for it. Like, for example, by discussing with my husband how we were gonna handle chores and cleaning. And even though these seem like such, it's easy to say, oh, well, just don't wash the dishes. But then you end up with no clean dishes and like it has to be done. And if you have the systems, and actually this is kind of coming into our next question, but if you do have the systems in place, it um, can if you prepare in advance by putting these kinds of systems in place, it can be really helpful. Which brings me to our next question, which is from a dad, an expecting dad. He says, are there any systems or routines that are helpful for organizing chores and cleaning as a new dad?
The one that always works for most people is doing checklists. But not just checklist like random activities you need to do. You need to store them out. Personal tasks, shared tasks, and team tasks. For example, personal tasks are things that only you can perform. Taking a shower, doing exercise. My partner cannot do those things on my behalf. So those are my personal tasks. And maybe we need to be more realistic and say, okay, I'll have time for one personal task today. My personal task would be to do some exercise in the morning. My wife's personal task today would be to do some exercise at night. And that will work one task at a time. So there are other tasks, of course, those are like personal activities. But for instance, I cook. Uh, and my wife takes care of breastfeeding my baby because I cannot breastfeed, and my wife doesn't really like cooking that much. So that's my personal task. That's her personal task. That way we prevent having overlap.
Mm,
Then we have shared tasks that anyone can actually start doing it if they are available, like cleaning, cooking for some families, feeding the baby if you're bottle feeding, and if that is bottle feeding, so that could be also a shared task. Um, and they're a little more flexible, but there's a schedule. For example, walking the dogs 3 times a day. I can be a little flexible with that, but it's something that has to be done, and whoever is ready at that time takes care of that and puts a check on the checklist. So, for example, if I'm done with my meetings and I know, okay, it's time we went outside, I check the checklist and it's already checked. So I know that my wife has already taken care of the dogs. So now I can take care of something else, maybe a shared task, or maybe we can just have some time to relax because trust me, you may want to add relaxation to your calendar and your schedule. You want to
mm.
have some time for yourself. My time for myself is grinding my coffee and having all my ritual for my morning coffee. And that's something sacred to me. So I want to have time for that. So we have that shared task. And lastly, team tasks. Like you exclusively or almost exclusively perform them together. For example, we use cloth diapers. Someone is changing the diaper and the other person is pre-washing the diaper that has just been used. And I say exclusively, sorry, I say almost exclusively because that may not always work because maybe my baby needs a diaper change while I'm working or while my wife is working, so there will be a diaper there, but it's still a team task because the one who changes the diaper and takes care of the baby may not have time to wash the diaper. So that's the other person's job now. And for example, if we cook together, I usually do some cooking with my daughter because I want to make her feel included and incorporated in my activities and my routines. And that could also be a great opportunity for your baby to learn simple things like putting your baby on your back and teaching them how you can uh, cut a fruit. You can teach them colors. You can teach them to count and vocabulary. It's a very great opportunity for your baby to learn. So that's a team task. It does not involve my wife, but it involves my baby and I. And I only perform those tasks when my baby's on my back.
Oh, and
And
that's
that
an
would,
important reason people should listen to the baby wearing episode.
yeah, that's very important because it's not only about taking care of your baby and facilitating their physical development, but also it enhances their learning because they have more opportunities to learn actively and to seek for stimuli on their own. And that leads me to the previous question, why you want to have things being discussed before giving birth. because that way you know whose tasks are whose, which tasks are not so important, and which are more important and relevant. Because if you don't, then things escalate very fast. If you don't wash the dishes when you're supposed to, then you won't be able to cook. If you're not able to cook, then you may want to order some food. And sometimes it's okay, but you don't want to end up using a lot of your budget for food delivery when you could have just washed the dishes in time to cook a homemade food meal for your family.
This is
And
very
also,
relatable.
it's very relatable. We've all been through that. And it doesn't mean that ordering food is bad because sometimes we order food and that's perfect. But it's better to order food because you want to enjoy another meal than doing so because you have no other option.
And it's the budget that it takes to order food all the time because the dishes are never washed is yeah, that's something you'd either need to budget for or just wash the dishes. But you need a
Mhm.
system to make sure those dishes are washed. Yeah.
Yeah, and that system may also be applied to your budget. You may want to have different categories for expenses. For example, we have a chores and also a grocery category. Then we have another one for eating outside because we really like going to restaurants with a baby. We have another one for deliveries or maybe things that we want to eat from time to time, like I don't know, cake or maybe a brownie or a fancy coffee that I want. We have another category for dogs because we have two dogs. And the other one is for unexpected situations in our car. There's a budget for me and my personal expenses, one for my wife, and another one for the baby as well. So we have things very organized. That will not only save you time and money, but that will also, and this is something that some people are not willing to talk about, but you don't want to argue and fight unnecessarily with your partner.
Yeah.
And that will save you a lot of fights that you can just prevent by having things organized. You
Hmm.
don't want to argue about whose task was to clean the floor because you already know that you could have done it or your partner could have done it. So you work as a team. You cannot work as a team if there's no communication. Having things organized is another form of communication as a couple.
That's so true, actually. Yeah. I yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for that. Um, our last question today is from another expecting dad. He says, I want to help as much as I can with chores and cleaning during postpartum, but I only have a short paternity leave and I'm worried I'll be too tired to do anything after work. What's your advice for this dad?
And you may want to start meal prepping. That's great. You may want to have some frozen meals packed and put up on your refrigerator, or what do you call that upper part of the refrigerator? Sorry, I'm not
The
good at my
freezer?
vocabulary.
Freezer?
Freezer, yeah, the
Yes,
freezer, yeah. Because we use refrigerador
both,
for
yeah.
all of that. Okay, you want to freeze that prepared food. So then when the baby's here, you don't have to think about cooking.
That's a
You don't
big
need to
thing to
think
take
about
off.
cleaning a lot. You have frozen portions of nutritious food that you made with love. You can just um, heat it up, or you can put them all together the previous day on your plate and heat it up on a pan or the microwave. So no cooking, less washing, and a lot of less thinking because you don't want to think more than necessary. You're probably fried after a whole day of work. So you want to have one less thing to think about. Also, um, you might want to get rid of things that you can't live without. For example, uh, high maintenance clothes, high maintenance hairstyles, or beard styles. I used to have a very long beard. My beard was almost like 30 centimeters
Wow.
long. It reached my chest, and it was wonderful. I loved my beard. But when I'm a dad, when we were pregnant, I say, there's no way I'm going to take care of this beard because it is a high maintenance
Hmm.
style. I'm just gonna trim my beard. I'm gonna wear it shorter. I'm not gonna shave because I don't really like being shaven, but I can wear it shorter and it's more efficient. So you may want to compromise some things that are not truly necessary. But that's when we need to be very honest with ourselves. There are some things that may not be necessary for some person, but they will be truly necessary for you. For example, my coffee routine is sacred to me. It's not necessary, but it is for me. It's very important. So that gives me some peace of mind, and I do it. Also, accept chaos, embrace it, because it will happen. I'm a very organized person, but now I can see a lot of clothes, a pile of clothes that are clean that I need to fold or hang, and they're there. But I need to prioritize things. So I need to
Hmm.
embrace that chaos and accept that there are things that will definitely be left undone.
Hmm.
Sometimes you just need to focus on doing the bare minimum. You need to set realistic expectations and learn how to live with it. For example, these clothes are in a room that my baby usually doesn't walk around, so it's fine. But I don't want to have those clothes outside where my baby plays. So that's how you can manage chaos so that it does not become a bigger concern, but it just stays here.
I love
And also, but definitely suggest having friends whose values or routines are aligned with yours because we are social beings. It's easier when we share things with others. Eh, it's easier for me to have some friends over if they know what having a child is like, and they will understand why some toys are on the floor and why I'm wearing my pajamas at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and why there are some dishes that I haven't taken care of yet. And that will open a lot of doors for you and your social life because sharing, just talking, not doing things together, but just talking means a lot. You can
it.
learn a lot from what other people are doing. So
Hmm.
having people with similar values and lifestyles, I think that also helps a lot with organizing your home.
I love that. It really is. It's not just about organizing your home, but it's about everything that organizing your home means when you have a new baby. And one of the things that really matters most when you do have a new baby is socializing. I think there's, a lot of research into how having people around you can really support your mental health when you have a baby. And I think, um, yeah, not letting a messy house get in the way of that. It's okay to have friends over if you've got a little bit of a mess. And exactly like you said, just the friends that love you will not actually care.
Yeah, they're not gonna come inside your house and start checking. Well, if there's some dust in every single corner of your house, they won't really care. They're there for you and probably to help you
Yeah,
out, to see the baby, and to spend a good time together.
yeah,
Those are the friends you want to have, and those are probably the friends you already have.
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh, well, thank you so much for answering these questions for us today, Antonio. Like I said, to those of you who are listening to this episode, go ahead and go on over to our baby wearing episode because there's so much goodness in there. I really, really think that was a pretty awesome episode. Um, I'm really excited to release that one. Um,
uh,
Antonio, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you or if they want to book a consultation with you?
well, they can find me on Instagram. at Wawa Lifter. Wawa is WAWA, lifter, like weightlifter or power lifter. And you can find me on Instagram and on TikTok. If you go to TikTok, you may expect a lot of Spanish content. On Instagram, yeah, I manage both some Spanish and some English content. Um, and then, if you ever want to book a consultation with me, we are currently working on my website, so it's not available now. So I probably need to delete the link that's on my Instagram page if it's there. But you can DM me and I'll send you my calendar so you can check and book a spot. I'll be glad
Awesome.
to help you out.
Yes, definitely do. I think you guys would benefit a lot from speaking with Antonio. And if you listen to our episode about baby wearing, you will definitely see that for yourself. Um, Before we end this episode today, if you are new here, please make sure you follow or subscribe to the episode. And you can also leave us a review. That's the best way to support the podcast. And if you want to submit a question for any future Q&A episodes, you can subscribe to my email newsletter, which is where I always share the upcoming Q&A topics. And you'll also get a free postpartum prep checklist. So I know, Antonio, we've been talking about checklists, so you can also get a free postpartum prep checklist if you subscribe to my email newsletter. And you'll also be able to see all the Q&A topics ahead of time so you can submit your questions. Thank you again, Antonio, so much for being here on the Postpartum Prep Podcast. And for those of you listening, I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.